Let's talk about existential depression and suicide. One of the major and rising causes of suicide in today's world is existential depression. Very less is known about what is existential depression. Let's throw some light into what existentialism is. Hi, I'm Chumki Bose, a senior psychologist at MindTribe. When people talk about depression, they talk about chemical imbalance or depression that follows after some major event has been caused in somebody's life, a trauma that disrupted the person, maybe a job loss, divorce, death of a parent, death of a child, losing all money in business, and then it carries on for a few months and we diagnose them as having depression. A lot of times there is a sense of emptiness in a person, and this person is not able to give any meaning to his life. This is what existential depression basically focuses on. If you have heard people saying things like dealing with 3 or 4 topics or causes of how they are unable to give meaning to their life, they are generally struggling with topics of death. What is death? Why does death happen? If there is death, then what is life? What is freedom? Like, we know that we are free as individuals, but when you go out in the world, you are not free. There is a lot of limitation. There is legality. There is political non-freedom. There is freedom of not being able to speak what is in your mind. There is no freedom from family in terms of responsibility. Then there is a meaning of life, like what is this meaning? Why are we existing? What is the meaning of my life? Is this work that I do from morning to evening and then I party on Saturday, Sunday? Is it all? And then I die. Then questions like, will I ever find somebody who truly cares about me? Because all the people that I have encountered in my life are people who wanted something out of me, who needed me for their own cause. So the black and white kind of thinking, where you you start thinking like your living and dying hardly matters. Does anybody care about you? Is there any God? Because if there was God, there was no injustice. All these kinds of feelings that a person goes through, or rather questions that a person goes through, come under existential depression. Existential depression can be diagnosed when you see somebody getting too involved in a lot of activities. Is one of the major differences in depression and existential depression, where in depression a person is unable to get up from the bed or move in the morning, but in existential depression you might find people getting too much into charity, doing a lot of helping to people. They try to justify their existence by giving free services, teaching, but still are unable to fill up the void. They keep questioning as to what is socialism, what is philosophy, what is maybe Marxism, what is liberalism, and they are unable to find answers to that. A lot of things in this world don't make sense to them, and that is why existential depression is very common in the gifted people, in the gifted category of people also, because they tend to understand or try to understand more about the nature of life, the nature of existence, why and what of things, and then because of the nature of how life is, how unpredictable, chaotic, sometimes meaningless, sometimes just erratic life is, they cannot find answers to their questions, and in that quest they become completely helpless mentally, and then get into a kind of depression in spite of carrying on their hobbies, doing their work, charity, religion, involving in relationships. Nothing seems to satisfy them. All of these routes that a person generally takes to satisfy their needs, or to come out and give meaning to their life, does not satisfy them, because there is no overarching meaning to their life. Generally, existential depression is treated by therapies that attune with meanings in life and how to find that with somebody. The therapist's work is to understand what the person wants from his life, instead of certain tricks and tips. The therapist has to be with the person and understand what is his idea of life, and to have a structure built for him, with him, so that he can hold on to it and actually find some meaning in his life. So existential depression is something that is and always been linked to a lot of suicides, and especially people who are, like I said, gifted, or who are extra talented, like writers, authors, movie makers, artists, painters, singers, intellectuals, scientists, a lot in that category. When they achieve a lot, when they have achieved all that they wanted to, can no longer fill in that gap that existed. So they lose the meaning of life completely. So if you remember that line from Alchemist, if you have read in the novel Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, there is a sentence or a paragraph where there's this shopkeeper who sells a lot of he sells certain goods, and he wants to sell those goods and collect money and go to Mecca. But when he sees that his goal is about to be finished, or about to be achieved, he gets scared of it, and he actually does not want it to finish, because it is something like it is some goal that he has kept which is unachievable for him, and if he achieves it, he feels that he will lose the meaning of his life. In similar ways, a lot of people who have set goals in their lives, and when they are all achieved and they feel like there is still no meaning to life and they cannot justify their existence, they go into depression and then eventually suicide. More on suicide and other disorders that lead to suicide in my next podcast. Thank you.